So 2 fish for him already, but only partly eaten.
I do always marvel at the skill of bears, not only being able to catch fish up there, but just stand up there and not fall over.
You notice that the salmon jump really from just a particular spot on the falls. They can, for the most part, only successfully jump the falls if they're launching themselves from right below where that bear is. And that's that plunge pool we call the jacuzzi. And if you take an even closer look on that spot, you'll see that they launch themselves from the place where the water boils back up to the surface. So sort of like that dividing line between where the water hits the lower end of the falls and where it circulates back up. That circulation of water, that upwelling of water, gives salmon an extra boost. It's like having a bit of a tailwind, and they're able to launch themselves to greater heights and at greater speeds. And that probably is a big help when you're trying to get up this 6-foot-tall waterfall.
We do see salmon jumping on the other side. Do they ever have success? Do you watch
Rarely
them?
have I seen them have success over there. Maybe when the cams will zoom in sometimes on the far side, you might get a good look at that, but I don't think salmon can get enough of a head start really over there to jump at that spot successfully very often, I should say. The jacuzzi is very deep. I'm not sure how deep it is, but it's over my head, right where the water comes down and hits the surface. I was in there one time, and I kind of crawled along the base of or walked along the base of the falls, again, when there are no bears around. And I was curious to know how deep the jacuzzi was. So I got to almost where that bear is standing, and I was hanging onto the rock wall, and I just sort of like let go, and I slipped in, and I got tumbled around like I was in a washing machine. And it was a very uncomfortable experience. It felt like I was in there for a long time. I was probably only in there for like 2 seconds before I got spit out. But it was, it demonstrated to me that environment down in there is, it can be a little chaotic. The fish navigated quite well. It's another reason to marvel at their strength and coordination in navigating that watery world.
Well, especially now because they're approaching the very end of their life cycle, and they haven't eaten in a while, right, Mike?
They haven't eaten, since they entered fresh water from the ocean. So they're done with eating. All of their migration and spawning efforts from this point forward are going to be fueled by their internal energy reserves, their protein reserves, their fat reserves. So salmon display a remarkable endurance, given the fact that they have to swim so far and work so hard to get to their spawning site, all without eating.
Now that's number 3 in just a few minutes for that bear.
Yeah, so stripping the skin off of this fish, not really doing a real careful attempt to high grade the fattiest parts of the fish, and we haven't talked about that, Naomi, but that's a big reason why there are partly eaten salmon carcasses around, because the bears are selecting for the fattiest parts of the fish.
And why do they do that? I mean, they're eating, they're wanting calories, but it's specific kinds of calories that they need, right?
Yeah, they can gain fat mass faster if they're eating a lot of fat. They're very good at digesting fat, very good at digesting sugar. They're good at digesting protein too. But when you eat a lot of protein, you're gaining muscle mostly, for if you're a bear. So eating fattier parts of the fish will help them gain the specific type of body mass that they're looking for to survive hibernation. Because fat is their currency. That's how they survive hibernation. They're not surviving winter hibernation necessarily in their muscle reserves. They need those muscle reserves to remain intact through hibernation so they can come out of the den strong.